core issue in discipleship in the new family of Jesus is learning how to resolve conflict maturely. As a matter of fact, many people want to start with this skill, fight cleanly. They want relief from the relational pain and tensions they are living with as quickly as possible. For this reason, it's important for us to give you realistic expectations around the skill. For one thing, you have to understand conflict happens on a spectrum of who takes out the garbage to a church split. In this session, we want you to think of this as a beginner conflict resolution tool. So we are not trying to deal with the large, long-standing conflicts. What's also important to realize is that fighting cleanly builds on the previous 7 skills we've worked on in this course. So let me ask you, how good are you at the other skills? Have you been practicing them and getting comfortable with them? In order to be good at conflict resolution, you have to be good at knowing what's going on inside of you and be able to speak that respectfully, honestly, clearly, and in a timely fashion. You need to be aware of any assumptions you may be making or invalid expectations you have. You have to be really good at listening and be able to enter another person's world and listen incarnationally. You have to be able to get at your values, as we talked about in the last session in the ladder of integrity. The purpose of this skill is to resolve conflict as emotionally mature adults by eliminating dirty fighting and taking responsibility for a difficult issue.
We each come from families of origin where we learned how to do conflict a certain way. For example, perhaps your mother was a yeller screamer, like mine, and your father was an appeaser who said very little until he would reach a point where he would explode in anger. Maybe you saw relationships in your family get ruptured or broken, but never repaired. That is all I knew. How many of you had caretakers or parents that modeled for you and taught you how to deal with conflict in a mature, healthy way? In our experience, very few of us had that. In the church, we misinterpret Jesus' words in Matthew 5:9, where he says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God." We think peacemaking is avoiding conflict at all costs, so nobody gets upset. We mistakenly think that we are to be nice. We don't want to rock the boat, so we say nothing and end up in what can be called a false peace. Everything looks nice and good above the surface, but actually there is tension, resentment, and anger beneath the surface. Jesus models for us true peacemaking. He did not ignore tensions. He did not ignore differences. In fact, if you look closely, conflict was part of his life and ministry. Jesus overturned the tables in the temple. He had difficult conversations with the religious leaders. He confronted the 12 disciples multiple times. He was not afraid to speak truth and disagree with people. Jesus disrupted false peace in order to bring true peace. And in doing so, he shows us that true kingdom peace will never come by pretending that what is wrong is right, or by pretending there is not tension when there is. In other words, true peacemakers love God and others enough to disrupt false peace. For this reason, learning to fight cleanly is a core discipleship issue for all of us. It is important that we begin by looking at ways we do dirty fighting. So now turn in your workbooks and follow the instructions provided.